Hey friends, and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Kate. We do mom life together here on this channel, and we talk all about living with faith, purpose, and intention. And if any of that interests you, I would love to have you subscribe and join us. Today's video is going to be about embracing the wait, and particularly an adoption wait. If you guys have been here for any period of time, you know that we are hopefully finalizing our adoption very soon, but it has been a very long wait. I think that any sort of wait can be hard and be trying and be frustrating. So I wanted to speak into that a little bit today and what I've been learning in this wait. And I know there's a lot of foster and adoptive parents here, and dare I say that waiting for a child to become a forever part of your family, or waiting for a child to be in a place of certainty and safety, are some of the most difficult waits that there are. So I wanted to speak into that a little bit from the adoptive parent or the foster parent, or just the person in waiting from that perspective. Like, what can we learn in this time? Why is it good? And that sort of thing. So let's get right into it. So my husband and I are in a deep season of wait. A quick background story. Over 5 years ago, we felt God was calling us to adopt a child. We want to adopt to help our community, help a kid who needs a family. We can have biological children, so that wasn't the way that we were growing our family, but we just really felt God strongly calling us to adoption. So we made the call. We decided to go the fostering route and be able to help children along the way and be able to help families. We just felt like that was the right way for us. And that if any of those children would eventually need a forever family, that we would love to be that for them. And that's just kind of our path and how we've gotten into this adoption journey. And we've kind of fallen in love with the process of helping families to reunify along the way. I'm not going to lie, in the beginning I had a lot of negative feelings about biofamilies, which I know many people, before their eyes are open to it, do. So I know I'm not alone in that. It's hard to hear kids' stories and know that adults did certain things to them. It's hard to know that and then be able to support them going back. At the end of the day, these are their children, and if a family can make the necessary changes to be restored, I think it's a really beautiful thing. So we kind of fell in love with that process of helping families to reunify along the way. We've had 8 children either reunify or go into kin. We've had 1 who we're in the process of adopting, and then we have a new little foster love that we've had for, 6 weeks or so. I never like to say exact dates on here, but a few months after we got Rosie, we felt God calling us to a different area in ministry, but we felt strongly that we were meant to continue fostering and see what happens with Rosie. So our wait, and it's not something I'm ready to share yet, but our wait is kind of compounded because we feel like, is there something else that God is calling us to? And we're still praying about it and seeking His wisdom if that is the right thing for our family. And if it is, then one day you guys will see and I'll be able to share it with you. But just know that our wait is compounded. So instead of trying to figure it all out, like, our adoption process has taken honestly ridiculously long. It's like every hurdle that could happen has happened. Every time our paperwork lands at a certain spot, there's always a delay for whatever reason, like a delay within the normal parameters of how long things should take. So we just kind of feel like God is calling us to stay right here and to continue fostering and to be faithful where we are. And if you've watched some of my other videos, I share more about that, because we were going to stop fostering for a period of time and just kind of live normal life like a family and do some traveling and that sort of thing. Move houses, because we know this isn't our forever home. But we just feel like God's telling us to stay right now and to continue fostering, which is why we opened our home to another little love. And honestly, I have so much peace about the decision. It's just been so great having this little one here. Obviously, there's so much brokenness and hurt and sadness. Like, I can't say it's great. There's a lot of hurt and pain surrounding the situation, but it's just great. I love to love on kids that need stable, healthy adults to love on them. Like, it's a passion of mine. I feel like it's my life's purpose. I know not everybody can foster, is meant to foster, and I feel very strongly equipped to do it. So anyways, let's get into the waiting. So while we're in this waiting season, instead of trying to figure out why, I'm just trying to focus on the benefits. So the first one being relationships will be strengthened. We have gone through a lot in this last 5 years, and particularly this last 2 and a bit years with our foster, almost adoptive daughter. A lot. And honestly, I know some of these things can tear marriages down, not necessarily apart, but being really hard on marriages. But thankfully, our marriage has really been strengthened. I love my husband more today than I ever have. And working towards this common goal together of her becoming our forever daughter has just been a really beautiful thing. And we've, learned more about each other and about how we operate under stress and how we are kind of rising up to advocate for her best interest. Our relationship has just really been strengthened. And not that we didn't have a strong marriage before, I strongly think we did, but I feel like God was calling us to strengthen our marriage even more. So that's probably a reason that we're waiting. And, maybe for you, it's your marriage or it's other relationships in your life. I've had relationships kind of peter off in this time frame as well that I learned a lesson from that hurt me when the friendship ended, but I learned a ton from. So strengthening relationships, the most important relationships, especially with your spouse, it's been a really, really good thing for me. So I can't say that the wait has been all bad. There's definitely been these positives. Another positive I would say is God is teaching us so much about his faithfulness. I have seen God be faithful over and over again, but sometimes in wait and in pain and in things that we've gone through in this process, it's easy to lose sight of that. So God is just teaching us about his faithfulness. And one day I'll share more with you, but there's been so many little ways that God has shown up as far as dates and times and, when I actually surrender, the way that he has shown us his faithfulness. So seasons of wait can just teach us about God's faithfulness. And another one is God is testing us. And this may not seem like a positive at first, but I truly believe it is, because our faith cannot be strengthened unless we are tested. And our faith has been tested, I guess. We're very strong in our resolve. We're Jesus followers. We are sold out for Jesus. I love the Lord. But it's easy to forget about his promises, and it's easy to feel forgotten sometimes when situations are painful and hard and waits are really long and arduous. And sometimes in this process, I've wanted to just run away from it all and go back to a more easy and comfortable life where I'm not inserted into the middle of people's really messy brokenness and broken foster care system and the way that court works. It's all so broken, and sometimes it's just easier to turn my back on it. But I just think of these kids, and I've asked over and over for God to break my heart for what breaks his. And I truly believe that orphans and vulnerable children, widows, these are the least of these, and we need to be caring for them as Christians. And God continues to break my heart for this cause, and I know I will, whether I'm a foster parent forever, I will forever be involved in this world, because that's what my heart breaks for. And my faith does need to be strengthened because I'm put into really hard places, and I need to be a pillar of strength and support for others so often. So God is testing me and strengthening my faith in the process. I want to read 1 Peter 1, 6 and 7. In this you rejoice, though now for a little while, if necessary, you have been grieved by various trials, so that the tested genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold that perishes though it is tested by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ. So not only is God strengthening our faith when he's testing us, but he's also, another positive I think about waiting and embracing this wait is strengthening our character. We learn and we grow every single day, and it's important to be continually growing. I think that is a key element to a human's happiness, is to be growing, because if you're not growing, you're dying. I think it's Tony Robbins that says that. And it's so true. Our characters need to be strengthened. We are so prone to sin and brokenness, and we are not living in the world the way God intended it to be. We are living in a fallen world, and strongly believe God can't trust his authority to us when we are arrogant or we're prideful or we're self-serving. We need to be humbled. We need to be on our knees at his feet. We need to be serving. We need, there's just so many ways I think our character needs to be strengthened as sinful humans, living in this world. Our culture and Satan, there's so many lies that we believe and that get spoken into our lives. Our character needs to be strengthened by the testing of our faith. So we need to be more godly. God calls us to holiness, and I know I need that. So trials and hard things and this long waits are so worth it in the end, because our character gets strengthened. And the last thing, positive thing I want to say about embracing this long wait is I think God is preparing me for a blessing. And I can only relate this to my miscarriage. I got pregnant unexpectedly the first time, and sadly we lost that baby at 9 weeks. And of course I was excited to be pregnant. I mean, Greg and I had been married for a couple years. I was super excited to be pregnant, but I don't think I would be the mom I am today. I don't think I would be a foster mom. I don't think I would appreciate my children the way I do if I didn't lose my first baby, because that changed everything for me. And after a season of grief and depression, and just really hard time and questioning God, I really clung to God in that, and my faith was strengthened then, my character was strengthened then, and I became the mom that I am today because of that. And now I'm truly thankful that I lost our first baby, and I know I'm going to meet him or her one day in heaven, and that's going to be a beautiful time. But that baby wasn't meant to be my baby here on earth, and if I had had that baby, I wouldn't have had Lilia, and Lilia was 100% meant to be here and be my daughter. And it's hard to see that when you're right in the middle of it, but I know that God was preparing me for the blessing of Lilia and the blessing of motherhood through losing that first baby. And that's the only way I can really... Sorry, memory card was full. I had to delete some videos off there. What was I saying? It's the best way I can relate. Like when you're going through a weight or you're going through a season of pain, like God is using that to prepare you for a blessing. And I am not a prosperity gospel believer in any way, shape, or form, but I do believe that there's some truth to this. I know there's different opinions and different sides of the coin to this, but I totally believe that hard times are used to strengthen us and to prepare us for things. And I truly believe that God is preparing us for an amazing blessing and to appreciate the blessing. Of course, we appreciate our daughter. We love our daughter. But I know that day when we get to go to the courtroom and sign those, and the judge signs off on our official adoption, like, I'm going to be so overwhelmed with emotion because this has been such a long process and been such a growing time for us. And that little girl, like, I'm going to try really hard not to cry here, but that little girl is the most amazing little girl, and she is such a blessing, and she is so beautiful and wonderful, and like, it grieves me that she wasn't able to be in her first family, but we are just so thankful for the opportunity to be her parents and to raise her and to love her. And like, she just brings so much joy to our life. And maybe if the adoption went through quicker, I wouldn't have like these feelings that I have, but like, I just can't wait to make her ours and forever. And like, I'm gonna lose it. She's just our little like miracle, and she's our little fighter, and we're just so grateful for her. And I gotta stop. When we finally sign those papers, I am going to be rejoicing and praising God because He was faithful to us, and she's meant to be our daughter. Like, I don't want to say that flippantly because I don't want to disregard her loss or her trauma or her first family. But she was meant to be here. I was meant to be her mom. Like, okay. Let's talk about something else. When I am trying to find purpose, I guess, in wait, I like to read stories like, why did Moses have to wait 40 years? Well, maybe he couldn't have done what he did in 39 years. Or why did Abraham have to wait so long for a child? Like, the way his character and his faith was strengthened in that process was unbelievable. And he went through some hard things and some negative things, but it's Father Abraham, right? Like, you can see all these beautiful instances in the Bible how God uses waiting periods. So I just encourage you, if you're in a waiting period, to go and read your Bible and read these stories and just be reminded of God's faithfulness. Because honestly, that's how I get through. That's how I get through day after day, waiting and waiting and waiting for something that I feel should have been done so long ago. That's how I get through. I think God gives us dreams in our hearts. I just did a book review on You Are the Girl for the Job, and I was just really encouraged by it. Go check out the review, or even better, go read the book. But I think God puts dreams in our hearts, and then we have different paths that we have to walk in. Ultimately, the choice is ours, but God knows what choice we're going to make. He wants us to be able to step into the God-given dreams that He's given to us and fulfill, I'm still like tearing up, and fulfill these roles to our full potential. Like, the power of the Holy Spirit lives in us. Like, God is the hero, not us. God is the hero, but we are the rescue plan. Like, He uses His people for so much good, and He covers us in His grace, and we need to be the instruments that He uses to bring good to this world. But that often takes a lot of preparation. So if you are in the adoption or fostering process and you just feel like you're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and embrace the wait. I try to just tell myself, like, one day I will have all the things that I'm praying for now. Like, I believe God to be faithful in that. And if it wasn't meant to be and God doesn't want that for my life, then His will be done. So even if I'm praying for it now and it doesn't happen, like God can, God will, and even if he doesn't, like that's just how I try to live my life. And repeat that, especially when I'm going through something hard or painful or a long wait. So I hope this was encouraging to you. If it was, or you know somebody that it might be encouraging to you, I would appreciate if you share this video, like it if you like it. That helps other like-minded mamas to find my channel. Subscribe if you're new. I would love to have you so very much, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.